Today we will discuss the focus points of the chapter The Tiger in a Zoo through mind map. The poet, without mentioning that the tiger is inside the zoo, tells us that the tiger, with bright colored strips in his body and soft paws, is walking inside a small cage. So the tiger is having two characteristics. One is bright colored strips, that is the color combination of the strips that is in the body of the tiger, and second is his soft paws. And he walks where? He walks inside the small cage. He is angry but silent. Why is he angry? Because he is in the zoo instead of being in the jungle. And he is silent. He is not showing his anger or terrorizing any people. Next, the poet tells that if the tiger was free, means if the tiger was roaming freely in the jungle instead of being in the zoo, what would he have done? He would have hid himself behind the long grass. He would have been behind the long grass. Where is the long grass? The long grass is near the water bodies. So he would be behind the long grasses which is near the water bodies. And why would be he there? He would be there so that when a upbound deer would pass from that area, he could easily catch it. So if the tiger was in the jungle, he would be behind the long grass near the water bodies from where a plump deer would pass and he could easily catch it. Next, the poet tells that if he would have been free, he would have done many other things also. And what are the other things includes? It includes that he would have snarled around the houses. I have mentioned you that snarled means making warning sounds. The warning sounds that are made by animals is known as snarling. So if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the houses. He would have been making sounds of warning note around the houses. And where are the houses? The houses are at the edge of the jungle. And what is the intention behind doing this? The intention is he would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. He would create fear among the people living in those houses. So he would terrorize people with the teeth that he have and with the claws. So he would be showing off his teeth, showing off his claws, and he would be making snarling sounds to terrorize the people who live in the houses. Where are the houses? At the edge of the jungle. And the intention is he would create fear among the people living in those houses. Now the poet comes back to the reality, telling that the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is concrete. The walls of the zoo are made up of brick cement, so they are concrete and they have iron rods. So it's totally a man-made artificial concrete thing. So the poet is telling the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is concrete. The tiger and his strength and ferociousness is behind the bars. So the strength and ferociousness that the poet discussed by telling that he would have been terrorizing people around, he would have been hiding to catch a deer, all this strength and ferociousness is not shown as because he is not in the jungle. Instead, he is behind the bars in the zoo. So the tiger, along with all these strength and ferociousness, is behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage, He's just walking around the cage. He's just covering the length of the cage by walking, and he is ignoring the visitors. He's ignoring the visitors totally. He's not at all interested in who is coming to see him. Next, the tiger hears the last voice in the night and the sounds of the patrolling cars. So the tiger hears what? The last voices. So he stays awake till he can hear the last voices in the night and the sounds of the patrolling cars. All the sounds that are made by the patrolling cars, that also he hears. He stares at the shining star with his shining eyes. So, along with hearing all these things, he also watches something. What does he watches? He watches the shining stars. With what? With his shining eyes. The poet mentioned the word brilliant, but the intention behind using the word brilliant is shining. He stares at the shining stars with the shining eyes. So, without mentioning anything, the poet tells us at first that the tiger is having bright colored stripes in his body and is having soft paws, and he is walking inside a small cage, that is inside a zoo. Next, he tells that the tiger is angry, but he does not show off his anger. He is silent. Why is he angry? He is angry because without mentioning, the poet wants us to understand that he is in the zoo and not in the jungle, so he is angry. Then the poet tells that if he was free, what are the things that he would have been doing? He would have been hiding behind the long grass near the water bodies from where a pump deer would pass and he could easily catch it. So he would have hid himself behind the long grass. Where are the long grass? Near the water bodies. And for what purpose he would have been hiding there? To catch a pump deer. He continues to mention that what are the other things that he would be doing if he was in the jungle. So he would have been terrorizing, he would have been snarling, he would have been creating fear inside the heart of those villagers who stays in the house at the edge of the jungle. So near the jungle, the houses are there, and the tiger would create noises to produce fear in the heart of those villagers, and he would have been doing what else? He would have been terrorizing people with his sharp tooth and claws. So here we get the mention of sharp tooth and claws. In the first line we have got the mention of what? Paws and bright colored strips. And here again, here is two things mentioned. One is sharp tooth, another one is claws. And he would create fear among the people living there in those houses. But all these things that he would have been doing if he was in the jungle are not possible now. Why? Because presently the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is concrete. The tiger and his strength and ferociousness which he would have been showing in the jungle is now behind the bars. So what does it do behind the bar? He just stalks in the cage and ignores the visitor. He doesn't do anything else, but he just stalks in the cage and ignores the visitor. And at night, he hears the last voice that could be heard and the sounds of the patrolling cars. Then he stares at the brilliant or the shining stars with his brilliant or the shining eyes. So these are the things that he do inside the cage, inside the zoo, as because he is captivated there. He's a captive, he is a prisoner, he is in a prisoner-like state there, and he is not in the jungle. So the poet begins by telling that he is in the zoo. Then he goes and shift the focus that what the tiger would have been doing if he was in the jungle, and then again coming back in the zoo, he tells that what the tiger is doing in the zoo. Today we will do the literary devices of the tiger in a zoo. As we have read the first stanza, he stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage on paths of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So in these 4 lines we will see what is the literary devices used by the poet. The rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. The first line is A, that is he stalks in his vivid stripes. The second line is B, the few steps of his cage. The word cage is the marker. The ending word of the sentence is the marker. On pads of velvet quiet. So this is C. And again in his quiet rage. So the word rage matches with cage. So as because 2 ending words of this stanza is matching, so it will be A, B, C, B. A is independent, there is no word matching to stripes. C is independent, there is no word matching to quiet, but cage is matching to rage. So both B in the second line and B in the last line. Personification. Personification means personing a thing, personification of something. When an inanimate thing or something like the animal or a thing is compared, is talked about like that is a person. Here the tiger is an animal, it is not a human, but he is compared to a human by how? By addressing him, the poet addresses him continuously as he. You can see he stalks in his vivid stripe. So by default he is talked about like it's a male tiger, it's he. So personification is there. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. Metaphor you all know. Tiger's paws are compared with velvet. The comparison is there. Pads of velvet, as the velvets are soft, so the paws are also soft. So comparison is there. So it's a metaphor over here. Enjambment is in sentence is in where there is no punctuation mark. Sentence is continuing to the next line without any punctuation mark. So where it is the first line. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage. This line there is no punctuation mark. So the first line is continuing to the second line without any punctuation mark in this line. So it is an enjambment. Now coming to the imagery. The poet tries to create an image about the tiger. When the poet tells he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, and when we explain that how the bright colored stripes are there of yellow and black is in the tiger, certainly the image of a tiger comes to your mind. And when we say that he is walking in the cage, you imagine in your mind that a tiger is there. You imagine a cage on your own. You imagine the bars of the cage. And whenever I am saying this, you are continuously having an image in your mind. So that is the imagery. When any image is produced in your mind through any written form without showing any picture. So without showing any picture, through the lines of a poem, when description is given in a certain manner, that an image comes to your mind, that a picture comes to your mind, that is known as imagery. So when the poet tells he stalks in his vivid stripes a few steps of his cage, and we imagine a tiger with stripes, bright colored stripes in his body walking around the cage, this type of image which is coming to in our mind can be said as imagery here. Consonance is here as because S sound is here used. Stalks, his, stripes, continuous use of this S sound is there. So consonance. Assonance is also here. Why? Because the vowel sound I in his vivid stripe, you can see how many vowels I's are continuously used. So assonance is here. the use of vowel sound in continuity. I have explained this earlier also. This is known as in his vivid stripes. So continuous use of this vowel sound I is here in his vivid stripes. So this is assonance. Oxymoron is the use of adjectives opposite in meaning. So quiet rage. Quiet is a calm nature, while rage is something angry. Quiet is being silent, while rage is extremity. So both are adjectives, but both are in an opposite form. So both the opposite forms are used here. So quiet rage. So when both the opposite forms are used, the use of adjectives opposite in meaning, it is known as oxymoron. Next, he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where pump deer pass. Rhyming is again same. Grass and pass is similar, while shadow and hole is not similar. So A and C are independent, while grass and pass are B again. Here enjambment is used where sliding through till deer. Sliding through the long grass near the water hole where plum deer pass. So here is no punctuation after the word hole. So this line is continuing. Sliding through the long grass near the water hole. So neither there is any punctuation after grass nor after hole. So here we can see enjambment. Alliteration is the use of sound P at the start of two words where pump and pass. Pump, pass, both over here alliteration we can see. Imagery is where lurking in shadow. So when the poet is telling that the tiger is behind, lurking in the shadow, we can imagine a tiger in our head who is behind the shadow. So this is imagery. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. Again A, B, C, B rhyme scheme where age and village. Enjambment is line continues to next line without any punctuation mark where he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. So after houses we can see there is no punctuation mark. So here is enjambment. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is what? When any sounding word is used. Snarling, I have told you the meaning, the warning sounds made by animal, that is known as snarling. So using words which denote the sound. So snarling is the word which denotes sound. So here onomatopoeia can be seen. Assonance is use of vowel sound O and I. Where is OU? Should around houses. And where is the vowel I used? Bearing his white, again his. So the use of this vowel sounds in continuity. Consonance is use of the consonant sound S. His fangs, his claws. Where is it used? His fangs and again his and claws. Which sound? S sound. What is it? Consonance. Next, but he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring the visitors. Rhyming is same. Personification is there. The tiger is personified because the poet refers to him as he. Assonance is used where? He, locked, concrete, cell. Which sound? Vowel sound E. And consonance is where? His, strength, bars. Which sound? S. Alliteration is again used here. Behind bars. Use of sound B at the start of two words. Behind also B, bars also B. Next, he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. Again same. No punctuation mark is used. Where? Line 3. Only one line. No punctuation mark is used. And stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant star. Alliteration is used. You can see H. Okay. He hears at the beginning of the stanza itself. H. He hears. To same sound continuing. He hears. Assonance is here as well. Use of I sound with his brilliant. Continuous use of the I sound. Vowel sound I with his brilliant. When vowel sound is used, assonance. Alliteration is when two words continue, two or three words, similar thing. It's not vowel or consonant, it's alliteration. But vowel is an assonance. Okay.